Hello YouTube, so today I'm going to show you how to make a baguette, and today I'll be following a recipe for baguettes. You can't really see it, but from 100 great breads. Now I've already tried this before and it actually turned out really nice. It was a more dense bread than you buy at the store, but it was also very natural. You can tell there wasn't sugars or anything additives in it. It just tastes really nice. It's a really simple recipe. It only has a few ingredients. It has about 4 cups of flour plus extra for rolling out and in case the dough becomes too sticky. Now the original recipe calls for butter, about 50 grams, or I'm assuming it's 2 tablespoons of butter, but I'm substituting that for olive oil because I want to make this a vegan friendly bread. So olive oil is acceptable. You could use avocado oil, you can use vegetable oil. I wouldn't use vegetable oil that much because it may give it a different flavor, but I really like the flavor of olive oil, so I use that. It's about half a tablespoon, a heaping half a tablespoon of salt. I'm using pink Himalayan salt, and then after it is a tablespoon and a half of dry active yeast. And something about this recipe that I don't really like is it calls for enough warm water to make the initial amount into a sponge. So I've decided to use about half a cup of warm water for now. So it's a perfect temperature right now for me. So I'm just gonna add the yeast and mix it up a little bit with this. And I'm gonna let it proof. Now, you don't have to let it proof if it's dry active yeast or using one little envelope. So how do you know if your yeast has proofed? Now, first of all, I put it beside my slow cooker because it's warm right now and it'll help to proof better. Not too close because it's on high. And I'm actually making my vegetarian friendly pasta sauce right now in the slow cooker, and that will be on a different video. But anyways, so how do you know? Well, first, as you can see at the bottom, it's starting to foam a little bit. It is activating, and it will start to foam at the top. A little bit is starting, but it will more when it's ready. And some other tricks is put your hand close to the top. If you feel warmth, you know it's working. If you put your nose close to it and smell it, and it smells a little funky, you know it's working. So once that's proof the way I want it, we're going to start working on our bread. So as you can see, look at all that froth. It is ready to go. It is proofed exactly how I like it when I start my bread. So I'm going to be using my KitchenAid today. Now you can do it by hand. I have done it before, but I just prefer to use my KitchenAid so it's easier. So I'm going to add the salt into my flour. About half of my flour mixture, just so I can make it sponge as the recipe tells me to. And I'm going to add my olive oil or butter depending on what you're using. I'm going to drop in my proof yeast with the water. Lock it into place and put it on my low setting. Just let it mix well until it's sponge. So I ended up adding an extra half a cup of warm water. So in total you will be using a cup of warm water. And I think that's like a sponge. That's what the recipe says. And it also states in the recipe to let this rise overnight. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it rise for about 30 minutes or so, like this. So I'm just going to scrape off my dough hook. And I'm going to put a clean dish top over top of it and put it somewhere warm to let it rise for 30 minutes. And I'm choosing to put it beside my slow cooker because it's really warm right now. And we'll be back when we're ready to make this into a dough in about 30 minutes. It's been about 30 minutes that I've let this rise, maybe a little bit more. And I actually put the towel over the slow cooker just to help keep the bowl warm. And I also put some saran wrap just to keep the moisture in. So as you can see, it's starting to bubble, the sponge. So I think it's ready to start kneading for a bit. Alright, so let's start kneading the sponge. I'm going to put my flour guard on. Start it on slow and add a little bit of flour. The flour reserve that we have. Now last time I made this, it was a sticky dough, so it may stick a little bit to the bottom of the bowl, but that's not to worry. But we'll get back to when this is more of a dough ball. I didn't actually use all the flour, I left a little bit behind, and as you can see, the dough is sticking a little bit to the bottom, but not to the sides of the bowl. Now that to me is perfect because it means the dough is moist and it'll make for more of a moist bread. So now I'm just going to let it knead for a good 5 minutes by the machine. Do this by hand, knead for a good 10 minutes. So my dough has been kneading for over 5 minutes, and as you can tell, it is lifted from the bottom and it's gathering around the dough hook. So this is about ready to rise. So I'm just, oops, something behind my KitchenAid. So I'm just going to lift this up, and it's sticky, but that's how I like it. And just lift it all up. And I'm going to put a few like half a tablespoon, not even, of olive oil at the bottom. And I'm just going to coat the ball and the bowl with the olive oil. And now I'm going to let it rest for an hour. That's according to the recipe in the book. Then after, we'll form it into baguettes. It's been over an hour since I've let the dough rise, and as you can see, it has doubled in size, so it's ready to be shaped. Now with the extra flour that I had, I just put it on the counter, like so, and we have to deflate this dough a little bit. See, when you put some sort of olive oil or butter or whatnot at the bottom, it comes out really easily. So I'm going to do the best I can with one hand and flatten it out. Now you have a few options here. You can make either one giant baguette or you can make two small ones. Now I'm going to opt for making two small ones. What you see me doing now is flattening it out, and I'm going to roll one end into some sort of bread shape, as you can see. And I'm just going to be forming it, tucking it under, and we'll get back to that. So I have shaped my baguettes into this shape, and as I said before, I put some cornmeal underneath it, a good helping underneath, before I put the actual baguette on top of the cookie sheet, and I put a little bit on top. Now this is just extra what I do. The recipe does not call for that. And now I'm going to let this rise for about 30 minutes, and before I put in the oven, I am going to get a sharp knife and just like cut a few slits at the top, and that'll help the bread expand for when I put it in the oven. The bread has risen for over an hour, and as you can see, I'm preheating my oven with the bread inside, and also I boiled some water and put it at the bottom, if you can see there, in a glass bread pan, boiled, so it steams up the oven to help the bread rise better. That's a little trick that I've learned. So I'm going to bake it for 350 for about 30 minutes, and we'll be back. The bread just came out of the oven, and I actually cooked it for 35 minutes. Now a way to keep the crust from being crispy and without using butter is grab a clean cotton kitchen towel like I have here, and just wrap it up like so and let it cool off for 30 minutes, or not even, like 5 minutes, and the crust will soften up. Now I'm going to cut it open for you so you can see what it looks like on the inside. Ooh, it's hot. Look at that. Look how perfect that is. You can enjoy this with just on its own while it's hot with some butter. I'm actually going to make this into garlic toast with the baguette, make bruschetta. It's a really versatile bread and very light and fluffy. Thank you for watching. Until next time.